The biggest brain hole, hot and refreshing article, crossing through became a peach tree in front of the door. Gao Junchen originally thought it was over, but to his surprise, the Earth star fell into a world filled with spiritual energy and began to revive its spiritual energy. Subsequently, the infinite evolutionary system was activated. When the heavenly pride rises, the fierce beasts roar, and the leaders from all sides descend on the Earth star. A tree that covers the sky rises from the sky, overwhelming everything. There is a world in the tree, and its inner creatures worship it as a deity. Honey can evolve all things and nourish many divine beasts. He is the eternal tree, eternal existence, where heaven and earth perish but the tree does not perish, and the sun and moon decay but the tree does not perish. He is the tree of the world, one leaf at a time. The world changes color when it bears fruit, and countless strong people tremble at it. He is the tree of ancestors, the ancestor of countless trees, commanding billions of tree demons and sweeping across the world. Keywords of the novel. Evolution starting from a tree with no pop-ups, evolution starting from a tree. Download the complete TXT collection, and read the latest chapters on evolution starting from a tree. Chapter 1. Crossing into Peach Trees. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Crossing into Peach Trees. Now insert an urgent news, according to the announcement from the National Academy of Sciences. The sun has recently experienced a violent explosion, and the energy generated has formed wormholes. Experts have analyzed that Earth has fallen into a mysterious world full of spiritual energy. Spiritual energy can cause changes in the living beings on Earth, resulting in unpredictable morphological changes. The relevant departments have established a special team and will soon release emergency plans. Please do not panic, it's the third day. In front of a remote old house in Juntan village, Gao Junchen's whispers rang out. Under the moonlight, he stretched his body to better absorb the energy of the moonlight. If we look at it from a different perspective, Gao Junchen's action is like a peach tree spreading its branches and allowing a peach blossom to spread out. Yes, Gao Junchen has traveled through. He crossed over and became a peach tree in front of his home, which he personally planted when he was alive. After crossing into a peach tree, Gao Junchen wanted to know the situation of the elderly and children at home after the initial adaptation. He rose up in rebellion during violent debt collection and accidentally bumped into a peach tree in front of the door, dying. In the last few minutes of the countdown to life, he couldn't forget the disappointed eyes of his parents and the frightened and anxious faces of his children. As for the wife, she had been searching for her own happiness several years ago. How is your family doing? At that time, he immediately wanted to know the situation at home. Unfortunately, he regenerated a peach tree without any perceptual ability. Fortunately, Gao Junchen awakened his golden finger. The infinite evolution system. Now is the third day he has obtained the golden finger. Under the moonlight, Gao Junchen stretched out his branches, allowing all the petals of his peach blossom to absorb the energy of the moonlight. Nowadays, Gao Junchen is several times taller than when he first started. These days, by absorbing the spiritual energy from the air, a peach blossom tree not only did not fall, but also grew bigger and bigger, reaching 3 or 4 times the size of an ordinary peach blossom. In just a few days, Gao Junchen grew into a towering tree, thanks entirely to his system. Gao Junchen silently absorbed the energy from the moonlight while spreading his perception. After a period of effort, his perception has been able to spread to his doorstep. As long as I gain some more evolutionary points, I can sense the situation of my parents and children. Gao Junchen couldn't conceal his excitement. You have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1, you have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1. On the system panel, such prompts constantly drift by at regular intervals. The bright moon hangs high. There's a bit of evolution. Gao Junchen's whispers echoed from the peach tree. System panel. Gao Junchen called out the system panel. Master. Mutated peach tree. Evolution point. 1-point variation direction. Mental variation, physical variation ability. Excellent spiritual power, pollen that can promote biological evolution. Let's apply this evolutionary point to mental variation. In order to quickly understand the situation at home, Gao Junchen assigned this evolutionary point to mental mutations. After the allocation was completed, Gao Junchen felt that his perception covered the entire old house at home. Finally, we can understand the situation of parents and children at home. At this moment, if Gao Junchen were not a tree, tears would have flowed down his face. In an old house. 2 elderly people were lying on the big bed with dementia, with 2 small teenagers standing next to them. Brother, Grandpa and Grandma haven't eaten for 3 days. Will they die like Dad? A little girl handed the small bowl in her hand to the young boy in front of her and asked him in horror. Shut up. Grandpa and Grandma won't die, don't talk nonsense. The little boy shouted angrily at the little girl. At this point, the little boy was also exhausted. After hearing the little girl's words, his mentality almost collapsed. Woo-woo, the little girl heard the little boy call her to shut up, and she cried with grievances. Brother, you're cruel to me. Woo-woo. Alright, Yimo, don't cry. Brother didn't mean to. Gao Wan'er saw his sister crying and hugged her with one hand, comforting her, saying, with my brother around, everything will be okay. Yes, I firmly believe. Well, I believe in my brother, Gao Yimo nodded and said. She didn't notice, hugging her brother tightly, and by now, tears were streaming down her face. Xiener, reminisce about ink, Gao Junchen shouted out, and the already powerful spiritual power was transmitted. Suddenly, the little boy and girl seemed to be frightened and jumped up. Both of them raised their heads in fear. Who's talking? Gao Wan'er looked panicked. Dad, is that you? Gao Yimo asked tearfully, Dad, have you come back? Sigh, Gao Junchen's faint sigh echoed in the room, and he gently said, my son, Yimo, it's me. It's really Daddy. Gao Wan'er and Gao Yimo looked at each other, both seeing a sense of surprise in each other's eyes. Dad, where are you? We miss you so much. Upon hearing Gao Junchen's voice, Gao Wan'er couldn't control her emotions anymore and cried, after you died, your grandparents became like this. They haven't eaten or drunk for 3 days or nights. If this continues, I'm worried they'll die. Gao Junchen sighed again upon hearing Gao Wan'er's words and said, Dad has become the peach tree in front of the door. Wan'er, don't worry for now. Dad will check the physical condition of his grandparents. After Gao Junchen finished speaking, he immediately used his strong mental strength to start checking the physical condition of his parents. He found that his parents were mentally traumatized and their bodies lifeless. If there were no miracles, his parents might not have lived for a day. Fortunately, my mental mutation has evolved again today. Gao Junchen felt a wave of fear in his heart. If he comes a day late, he won't be able to see his parents. This will become an eternal pain in his heart. However, it's okay now, there is still a chance to remedy it. Wan'er, bring a teapot to the yard, Gao Junchen instructed Gao Wan'er. Dad, what do you want me to bring a teapot to the yard for? Gao Wan'er asked in confusion. Wan'er, Dad has regenerated the mutated peach tree in the yard, Gao Junchen explained to Gao Wan'er, now take out the teapot and pick up some mutated pollen under the peach tree. The mutated pollen of the mutated peach tree has a miraculous effect, it should be able to save your grandparents, really. Gao Wan'er couldn't believe his own ears when he heard Gao Junchen's words. He is 14 years old this year and already has his own thinking ability. If it weren't for only hearing Gao Junchen's voice and not seeing him, he wouldn't have believed that all of this was true. Dad, I'll be right over. Gao Wan'er picked up the teapot on the table and immediately ran out. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Heavenly Palace and K. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Heavenly Palace and Gao Wanger came to the yard with a teapot in hand. He looked up at the peach trees in the yard with a stunned expression. Is this still the same peach tree as a few days ago? Just a few days away, this small peach tree has turned into a towering tree. Dad, it's amazing. Gao Wanger sighed to Gao Junchen. As soon as Gao Wanger finished speaking, he saw the lid of the teapot in his hand fly up. The towering peach tree in front of me trembled, and strands of refreshing pink pollen fell from it. A beautiful curve swept through the air and fell into the teapot in his hand. Then, the lid of the teapot automatically flew back and closed. Dad, are you controlling the teapot? Gao Wanger looked incredulous as she saw everything happening before her. He has never encountered such a magical thing before. Yes, Wanger. Gao Junchen's voice came from the void and said to Gao Wanger, I use my spiritual power to control the lid of the teapot. Dad, you're so amazing. Gao Wanger looked at the towering peach tree with a look of admiration and exclaimed. Stinky kid, stop flattering me. Gao Junchen saw Gao Wanger's admiration on his face and his mood improved a lot. He said to Gao Wanger, come in quickly. Pour cold boiled water into the teapot, shake well, and serve it to grandparents. Oh, by the way. Grandpa and Grandma are currently in a coma, you can give each of them a small bowl to drink. You and your sister can share the remaining mutated pollen tea in half. Yes, Dad. Gao Wanger respectfully said upon hearing Gao Junchen's words. Even when Gao Junchen was alive, Gao Wanger would not be so respectful to him. Gao Junchen watched as Gao Wanger returned, feeling deeply moved. It's a good thing that he turned into a peach tree. If you couldn't accompany your family in your past life, let's spend your time together in this life, whispered Gao Junchen. His spiritual power did not follow Gao Wanger back, but instead spread out the branches of the towering peach tree, allowing all the petals of his peach blossom to absorb the energy of moonlight. You have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1, you have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1, on the system panel, such prompts constantly drift by at regular intervals. I don't know if it's an illusion, but Gao Junchen noticed that his speed of obtaining the evolutionary point was gradually increasing. The content of spiritual energy in the air seems to have increased, whispered Gao Junchen. In fact, he didn't know that the mysterious energy in the air was spiritual energy, which he named according to his own preferences. Is it not excessive to call the mysterious energy that can promote the evolution of mutated peach trees spiritual energy? The distant sky gradually revealed a white fish belly, and Gao Junchen knew it was about to dawn. However, he didn't know that the sun he saw now was no longer the same as before. Dad, grandparents are awake. At this moment, Gao Wanger appeared in front of the peach tree and said to Gao Junchen, Grandpa and Grandma called you over, they are waiting for you in the hall. Are parents awake? Gao Junchen heard Gao Wanger's words and felt a surge of excitement in his heart. Since being instigated by his girlfriend to play online gambling in online dating, the person that Gao Junchen couldn't resist the most in his heart was his parents. During the period of violent collection of high-interest loans, Gao Junchen's parents lived in fear and anxiety. In order to repay Gao Junchen's debt, they even sold their houses in the city. Unfortunately, Gao Junchen ultimately died under violent debt collection. What kind of sadness and despair is it for parents with white hair to give away black hair? No wonder they were severely traumatized and almost turned into idiots. Fortunately, God gave me a chance to start over again. Gao Junchen was grateful in his heart. Gao Wanger walked ahead, and Gao Junchen's spiritual strength followed closely behind. Grandpa and Grandma, Dad is here, Gao Wanger said to the two elderly people with grey temples as she walked into the hall. At this point, after taking the mutated pollen tea, Gao Xiao and Zhou Chulan had completely regained their senses. After hearing Gao Wanger's words, their bodies sitting at the dinner table couldn't help but tremble. They are afraid that their grandson is deceiving them, and their son has not been reborn. Parents, my child is unfilial. I apologize to you. With a thud, Gao Junchen's spiritual strength condensed into a body and knelt in front of the two elders. At this point, Gao Junchen's spiritual power was already able to influence reality. Junchen, is it really you? The second old man saw Gao Junchen's spiritual embodiment and stood up from the dining table excitedly. Son! You're so ignorant. How could you touch such a bottomless pit as online gambling? Our family almost ended up with a broken family. Upon hearing his father's words, Gao Junchen lowered his head in shame and choked up, saying, Dad, I know I was wrong. It's good to know you're wrong. Oh my, it's good you're back. Mom and Dad don't blame you. Zhou Chulan walked over excitedly, wanting to hug Gao Junchen, but she was empty. At this moment, her excited expression froze on her face. Mom, I have just been reborn and my spiritual power is not strong enough. Gao Junchen saw the frozen expression on his mother's face and said with heartache, once my spiritual power becomes strong, I will be able to condense into a solid entity in front of you. Then you can hold me. Really? Zhou Chulan asked. Really, I didn't lie to you, Gao Junchen comforted. Upon hearing Gao Junchen's words, the second old man smiled. Alright, Junchen, come and sit down quickly. Gao Xiu summoned Gao Junchen to sit down next to him and sighed, after you died, the people who violently collect high-interest loans never appeared again. This has to be said to be a good thing. Pa, Zhou Chulan heard Gao Xiu's words and angrily slapped Gao Xiu's hand, complaining, Old man, I see you're old and confused. Is it a good thing for my son to die? Upon hearing his wife's words, Gao Xiu smiled gently and said, No. I mean, people who don't have high-interest loans come here to violently collect payments, and we can live a peaceful life again. That's pretty good, Zhou Chulan chuckled and cursed at her husband. Gao Junchen realized that although he was only regenerating a tree. However, the mood of the two elders also became much more cheerful. I'm reborn. Gao Junchen whispered, I'm back for revenge. Ah, I heard that the sun exploded and the earth star fell into a world full of spiritual energy, beginning a spiritual revival. Is this really true? Gao Xiu suddenly asked Gao Junchen. The sun explodes. Spiritual energy revival. Gao Junchen was stunned when he heard his father's words. Is the energy that I usually consume really spiritual energy? Grandpa, it's true. Gao Junchen remained silent, and Gao Wanger beside him had already spoken. Our teacher said that the sun exploded and formed a black hole, swallowing up the Earth star. However, Earth was lucky not to be destroyed, but to fall into a world full of spiritual energy. In this world full of spiritual energy, a large amount of spiritual energy tears through the ozone layer and flows into Earth. Now, Earth star is starting to revive its spiritual energy. I heard that many animals and plants have mutated. Everyone fell silent when they heard Gao Wanger's words. Grandpa, Grandma, Dad, come out with me quickly, Gao Wanger suddenly said. What are you doing, Wanger? Gao Xiu loves this grandson the most in his daily life. At this moment, he heard Gao Wanger's words and asked in confusion. Grandpa, you'll know when you come out, said Gao Wanger as she walked out and turned to Gao Xiu. Gao Xiu had no choice but to follow his grandson with his spouse. A few people quickly walked out of the house and arrived at the small courtyard. Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan were shocked to see the towering peach trees in the small courtyard at first glance. The small tree in their memory unexpectedly grew into a towering tree within a few days. This is amazing. Grandparents, look at the sky. Gao Wanger reminded Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan. Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan heard Gao Wanger's words and looked up at the sky together. At this moment, the sun in the east has risen, illuminating the sky with a bright light. Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan looked up at the sky and saw thousands of peaks standing between the blue sky and white clouds. The overlapping Qianglu and Yuyu buildings appeared faintly in the clouds, like thousands of magnificent brocades floating from outside the sky. Amidst the clouds and mist, it seems that one can see the palace in the sky. How could it be? Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan were stunned. The Earth star has really fallen into a world full of spiritual energy, and this world full of spiritual energy is actually right above their heads. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Soul Kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4. Threats from Mutant Beasts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Threats from Mutant Beasts at Dusk. Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo walked home in the sunset. Dad, one of our classmates was killed by a mutated beast. Gao Wanger stood under the peach tree and said to Gao Junchen with some fear. Dad, a little girl in our class has also died. Gao Yimo trembled beside her and said, I heard from the teacher that she was killed by a mutated sparrow. That little girl is my good friend. I didn't expect that she would be killed by the mutated sparrow. Dad, I'm so scared. I dare not go to school anymore. Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo stood under the mutated peach tree with backpacks on their backs. The two of them recounted the events of the day to Gao Junchen, with a look of fear on their faces. Gao Junchen observed that his two children underwent slight physical evolution after drinking mutated pollen tea. However, this slight evolution is not obvious. If it weren't for Gao Junchen's strong spiritual power, he wouldn't have noticed it yet. You guys go back first. Gao Junchen comforted Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo, don't tell your grandparents about the mutated beast, don't let the two elders be frightened. The threat from mutated beasts, I will find a way to solve it. Yes, Dad, Gao Yimo said obediently. Dad, I got it. Gao Wanger felt a bit frustrated. Gao Junchen did not experience significant emotional fluctuations when he saw the reactions of the two children. My daughter has a well-behaved and obedient personality. On the contrary, my son has a chivalrous heart and wants to become a great hero that attracts attention from all over the world. The matter of mutated beasts is a bit tricky. It's time to find some bodyguards for his son and daughter. Gao Junchen turned his gaze to the beehive under the roof. He doesn't want any accidents to happen to his son and daughter when he has infinite evolution and a human clone. He let his parents experience the gift of a white-haired person to a black-haired person, which he never wanted to experience. Before finding bodyguards for my son and daughter, let me allocate some evolution points first. Previously, when killing the mutated crow, Gao Junchen obtained 5 evolution points. With so many evolutionary points, it is enough for his mutated spirit and mutated peach tree body to evolve once. Add 3 evolution points to the mutated spiritual power, and 2 evolution points to the mutated peach tree body. Gao Junchen quickly made a decision. He will create a mutated beast bodyguard for the children later, and the stronger the mutated spirit, the better. As for adding the 2 evolutionary points to the mutated peach tree, he also has his own considerations. The pollen of mutated peach trees has a miraculous effect on the evolution of life. The more the body of mutated peach trees evolves, the stronger the effect of mutated pollen. Gao Junchen also wants to turn his son and daughter into martial arts prodigies. In summary, strengthening both the mutated spiritual power and the mutated peach tree body is the best choice at present. 3 evolution points were added to the mutated psychic power, and Gao Junchen found that his mutated psychic power was much stronger. The attack power has expanded from the initial 30 meters to the current 50 meters, almost doubling. After adding 2 evolutionary points to the body of the mutated peach tree, Gao Junchen noticed the fluorescence emitted from the mutated peach tree. He knew that the mutated peach tree would soon experience another wild growth. Because every time the mutated peach tree becomes stronger, it is an expansion of the trunk and height. Gao Junchen unfolded the branches of the mutated peach tree, and a tree of peach blossoms emitted an enticing fragrance. The petals of a peach blossom opened, and suddenly, the surrounding spiritual energy was plundered at an extremely fast speed, being devoured by the mutated peach tree. Well, not bad. According to the speed at which a peach blossom plunders spiritual energy, mutated peach blossoms can complete their transformation in just one day. This transformation refers to the growth of the mutated peach tree after digesting the 2 evolutionary points, not the evolution of the mutated peach tree. If Gao Junchen remembers correctly, the mutated peach tree has not undergone species evolution so far. When the mutated peach tree undergoes species evolution, perhaps you can give me some surprises. Buzzing. While Gao Junchen was contemplating the evolution of the mutated peach tree, the buzzing of a group of bees woke him up. Good guy. Did the bees at home pour out this time? Gao Junchen looked at the bees dancing in the sky, feeling a bit dumbfounded. This group of bees has been craving his body, but they have never succeeded. At this moment, as the mutated peach trees and peach blossoms unfolded, plundering their spiritual energy and releasing their tempting fragrance, they finally couldn't help but burst out of their nest. Among these bees, Gao Junchen also discovered several male bees. It can only be said that the mutated peach tree, with its peach blossoms blooming, emits an irresistible fragrance that attracts all the male bees. Alright. The fat and water don't flow into the fields of outsiders. You are also my bees, anyway. Let me give you some mutated pollen to taste. Gao Junchen murmured. However, before giving you a taste of mutated pollen, I need to do one thing first. With a loud bang, the mutated peach tree vibrated, and an invisible and powerful spiritual force swept out. Suddenly, a swarm of bees buzzing around the mutated peach tree fell like beans. Just this powerful spiritual impact, all the bees knelt down. What a weak creature. I haven't used the soul kill ultimate move yet, is that enough? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The appearance of mutated bee colonies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The appearance of mutated bee colonies. Gao Junchen did not delay for too long. He used his strong spiritual power to challenge these bees, intending to develop them into his own subordinates. Now, this group of bees has knelt down. It's also time to experiment with some of his ideas. Gao Junchen divided his spiritual power into countless threads and entwined with hundreds or even thousands of bees on the ground. His strong spiritual power easily broke through the defenses of the little bees and entered their spiritual space. What a simple creature. There are only instincts in the spiritual space, and no complete spiritual intelligence has yet emerged. Gao Junchen sighed inwardly. In that case, what he has to do will be much simpler. He left his own spiritual imprint in the spiritual space of hundreds or thousands of bees, achieving the effect of controlling the peaks. The process is very simple, the spiritual power of the peaks is too weak. Gao Junchen easily outlined mental control symbols within their spiritual space, achieving the effect of controlling the peaks. Don't ask Gao Junchen why he has the mind control talisman. Asking is an instinct after possessing strong spiritual power. After controlling the peaks, Gao Junchen immediately regained his strong spiritual power. The peaks are too weak, and if they continue to be oppressed with strong spiritual power, Gao Junchen is worried that they will die. He wants to create a combat race and doesn't need a group of bee corpses. After an hour, all the peaks on the ground returned to normal. They once again hummed and flew around the mutated peach tree. They still craved the mutated peach blossoms of Gao Junchen. However, this time without Gao Junchen's permission, they obediently did not rush over. Come on. Every bee comes over to eat a little bit of pollen, Gao Junchen ordered to the peaks. Chuanfeng received Gao Junchen's command and immediately made a buzzing sound, appearing extremely excited. They have been craving for a few days, can they finally eat the pollen of mutated peach blossoms today? After Gao Junchen opened up a portion of the mutated peach blossoms, hundreds or even thousands of bees rushed towards the mutated peach tree to enjoy the pollen together. Some of the worker bees gather a small amount of mutated peach blossom pollen into a ball and want to bring it back to the peak box. However, he was stopped by Gao Junchen. He doesn't want to give the queen bee mutated pollen before accepting it. Who knows what mutation occurs when the queen bee eats mutated pollen? What should we do if we escape then? Hundreds or even thousands of little bees have eaten a little bit of mutated pollen, and then they lie together on the mutated peach tree and fall into a deep sleep. Upon seeing this situation, Gao Junchen knew that this group of little bees was about to mutate. His idea is simple, it is to feed bees mutated pollen to make them mutate. In this case, this group of bees may become battle bees. However, all of this is just his speculation. The specific situation will only be known after these bees wake up. The waiting time was particularly boring, and Gao Junchen felt the energy of the moonlight and stretched out his body again. A peach blossom blooms, absorbing the energy of the moonlight. You have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1, you have absorbed the energy of moonlight, evolution point plus 0.1, this time, adding 0.1 evolution points only takes 1 hour, which is 2 hours. Gao Junchen knew that the concentration of Earth Star's spiritual energy had once again increased. Time flies by. When the sun in the east rises again, a group of mutated little bees awaken on the mutated peach tree. No, at this point, the mutated bees wake up and grow to the size of wasps, so they can no longer be called little bees. After waking up, the mutated bee swarm flew next to the mutated peach tree, unwilling to leave. This group of bees has become smarter after mutation, sighed Gao Junchen. After this group of bees mutated, they have already acquired a certain level of intelligence, unlike when they first had only instincts. Come, try your flying speed. Gao Junchen ordered the mutated bee colony. Shoo, shoo. Like hundreds or even thousands of illusions flashing by, the mutated bee colony instantly flew around the mutated peach tree in a big circle. The flying speed of 60 meters per second is too exaggerated, isn't it? Gao Junchen was surprised to see the flying speed of the mutated bee. He didn't expect his mutated pollen to be so extreme that it caused such a big mutation in this group of bees. This speed surpasses the vast majority of animals. The biggest change is their tail hooks, which used to be curved but now have become straight. Gao Junchen noticed the tail of the mutated bee, shining with a cold light. The venomous needle of the mutated bee has become straight from its previous bent state, and it is unclear whether it is a good or bad thing. Alright. Some mutated bees stay, while the other mutated bees return to the peak box and kidnap the queen bee, Gao Junchen ordered to the mutated bee in front of him. Upon receiving Gao Junchen's command, several mutated drones immediately turned around and flew majestically towards the direction of the peak box. Previously, they all knelt and licked when facing the queen bee, now, they finally have the strength and courage to kidnap the queen bee. Newcomer's new book, seeking collection and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. A Boxing Fly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. A boxing fly. The queen bee is very large, but it cannot withstand the violence of the mutated male peak. Under the cover of mutated worker bees, several mutated male peaks forcibly kidnapped the larger queen bees from the peak box. When the queen bee stands on the mutated peach tree, its fate is already predetermined. After controlling the queen bee, Gao Junchen also made it swallow some mutated pollen. It has to be said that it is the queen bee, and its demand for pollen is higher than that of ordinary worker bees and male peaks. After taking the mutated pollen, the queen bee returned to the peak box and fell into a deep sleep. During breakfast, Gao Junchen added a small amount of mutated pollen to the breakfast of his family. In these days, he has been using his strong mental power to control the mutated pollen, secretly sprinkling it into the food of his family. He intended to use mutated pollen to change the physical condition of his family, but he didn't want his family to know. Grandparents, I feel like my strength has increased. After finishing breakfast, Gao Wang'er said happily to Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan. Perhaps it's due to the revival of spiritual energy. We also feel that our strength has increased significantly, and even the white hair on our heads is gradually turning black. Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan heard Gao Wang'er's words and smiled at him, saying, "Well, my grandparents are getting younger and younger," Gao Yimo said happily beside her. "Dad, are my sister and I still going to school today?" Gao Wang'er asked in the direction of the mutated peach tree. "Go." "Why not go?" Gao Junchen's voice came from the void. "But we're a bit scared," Gao Wang'er said cautiously, glancing at Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan. "It's okay." Gao Junchen's calm voice came from the void, and he said calmly, "This time, there are mutated bees protecting you." Mutant bees. Upon hearing Gao Junchen's words, Gao Wang'er and Gao Yimo both showed a surprised expression on their faces. If there were mutated bees escorting them all the way, they wouldn't be afraid. Now the mutated beasts have not yet reached the point of walking everywhere, and with the protection of mutated bees, their safety is stable. "Grandparents, my sister and I went to school," Gao Wang'er said happily to Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan. "Go ahead." Gao Xiu and Zhou Chulan heard Gao Wang'er's words and a faint smile appeared on their faces. Gao Wang'er took his sister's little hand and walked all the way to the bottom of the mutated peach tree. He looked up and asked, "Dad, where are you talking about mutated bees?" Buzzing, 20 mutated bees flew up from the mutated peach tree, carrying a strong aura and flying over the heads of Gao Wang'er and Gao Yimo, startling them greatly. So many mutated beasts. Gao Wang'er looked up at the mutated beasts above her head with a stunned expression. "When others are still afraid of a mutated beast, I already have such a versatile monster bodyguard. Dad, you're really amazing. Goodbye." Gao Wang'er took Gao Yimo's hand and ran to school all the way. 20 mutated bees followed behind them, flying leisurely in mid-air. After these bees mutate, they have a certain level of intelligence and have learned to hide themselves. Juntan village intersection. "Ah! Help me." Gao Wang'er and Gao Yimo saw a strong man pulling a young man, who struggled desperately and shouted for help. Tongshen. Gao Wang'er had already recognized from a distance that the young man who was being pulled by the strong man was his childhood friend Tongshen. "Gao Wang'er, help. This person has come to collect high-interest loans, and if he can't find my father, he will arrest me." Tongshen saw Gao Wang'er from a distance and began to seek help. Collecting high-interest loans. Violent debt collection. Upon hearing Tongshen's words, Gao Wang'er's eyes burst with two fierce lights. "Let go of him." Shoo! As the wind blew, Gao Wang'er's agile figure rushed towards the strong man, transforming into a phantom. How could it be? Tongshen was shocked to see Gao Wang'er's running speed. He never knew that Gao Wang'er's running speed was so fast. Is lightning Superman? Tongshen had not yet regained consciousness, and a figure flashed before his eyes. With a bump sound, the strong man who grabbed his neck had already been punched away by Gao Wang'er. The strong man flew several meters away with a ghostly expression on his face, looking at Gao Wang'er. "You." Puzzling, before the strong man could finish speaking, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Gao Wang'er surprisingly dealt him a heavy blow with just one punch. What kind of strength is this? How could it be possible? Tongshen was stunned, he could hardly believe his eyes. Gao Wang'er. Are you really Gao Wang'er? Tongshen looked at Gao Wang'er with a shocked expression on his face. Like a fake exchange. Gao Wang'er smiled at Tongshen Guaner and said. "Wang'er, when did you become so powerful?" Tongshen was shocked and asked, "If I remember correctly, I remember you were beaten into a dog last month." Upon hearing Tongshen's words, Gao Wang'er's heart was filled with passion and blood instantly turned cold. He gave Tongshen a blank glance and said dejectedly, "Tongshen, can you speak? Why don't you open and pick up any pot?" "Ah." ha ha ha. Tongshen realized he had said the wrong thing and couldn't help but laugh awkwardly. Let's go. If we don't go to school again, we'll be late. What should that person do? Tongshen reached out and pointed to the struggling strong man on the ground. Let him go. A little servant, Gao Wanger, glanced at the strong man and said calmly. Hello, little one. Tongshen is full of admiration for Gao Wanger. He gave a thumbs up and boasted to Gao Wanger, Big brother, you're a real big brother. Brother, let's go. Gao Wanger smiled. A few people walked away happily. Seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Big Brother Long Xiaotian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Big Brother Long Xiaotian, that boy, is Gao Wanger, the son of Gao Junchen. The strong man couldn't believe his own eyes, he was punched away by Gao Junchen's son. Damn it. I haven't come to cause trouble for your family yet, but you've actually provoked me first. The strong man's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness and said fiercely, I must tell Brother Long about this matter. Dare to hit me, Lu Eru, I want your whole family to be buried with me. Clearwater Bay. A tourist destination in Huangmao Town. At this point, it has completely become the territory of Long Xiaotian. Is Brother Long there? Lu Eru walked into Qingshui Bay and asked the two thugs guarding the gate. Eru, what's wrong with you? Your face is so swollen, did someone hit you? A thug asked Lu Eru. Don't mention it. Today I went to Juntan village to collect high-interest loans and was beaten up by Gao Junchen's son. Lu Eru said with a dejected expression, stop talking, is Brother Long here? Gao Junchen's son. The two thugs were deeply shocked and they heard Lu Eru's words. Brother Long is swimming in the pool, you go quickly, a little thug said to Lu Eru. Thank you. Lu Eru arched his hand and left. Clearwater Bay swimming pool. At this moment, only a few people were swimming in the vast swimming pool. Three beautiful women wearing sexy swimsuits and a robust middle-aged man. Brother Long, Lu Eru is looking for you, a young man ran over and said to the middle-aged man in the swimming pool. Didn't you see me playing with a beautiful woman? Long Xiaotian glanced at the younger brother and said discontentedly, what's he asking me for? I don't know. However, when I saw him with a blue nose and swollen face, it seemed like he had been beaten, said the younger brother truthfully. Long Xiaotian frowned heavily upon hearing his younger brother's words and said indifferently, call him in. Yes, Brother Long. The younger brother bowed and left. A few minutes later, Lu Eru walked over alone with a swollen face and a blue nose. Brother Long, Lu Eru respectfully stood by the swimming pool and shouted. Speak up. What's up? Long Xiaotian asked with a faint glance at Lu Eru. Brother Long, Gao Junchen has come out to be a demon again. Lu Eru bowed and said. Gao Junchen. Upon hearing Lu Eru's words, Long Xiaotian stood up from the swimming pool in shock and asked, has Gao Junchen come back to life? No, it's his son, Lu Eru bowed and said. Pa! Long Xiaotian slapped Lu Eru in the face with a backhand and shouted, I thought Gao Junchen had come back to life. Surprisingly, it wasn't Gao Junchen who died and came back to life. Why do you say he's a demon? Lu Eru was slapped by Long Xiaotian, so scared that he knelt on the ground and said in terror, Brother Long, he is the son of Gao Junchen, he seems to have broken the limits of the human body like Brother Long. Is it really fake? Long Xiaotian heard Lu Eru's words and said with a surprised expression, how long does it take for spiritual energy to recover? In less than a month, a child can break the limits of the human body. Who, you're not lying to me, are you? Brother Long, even if you kill your subordinates, they dare not deceive you. Lu Eru knelt on the ground, tears streaming down his face as he said, my subordinates went to Juntan village today to collect high-interest loans, but were punched a few meters away by Gao Junchen's son. Brother Long, look, he broke all the bones on my face. Why don't you go to the hospital for treatment first? Long Xiaotian asked Lu Eru indifferently. Lu Eru was taken aback when he heard Long Xiaotian's words and didn't know how to answer. He can't possibly reveal all his inner conspiracies and schemes, can he? In that case, he was worried that he would be killed by Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaotian gave Lu Eru a deep glance and reminded him, don't have any ulterior motives. Otherwise, you won't know how you died. Brother Long, my subordinates dare not. Lu Eru heard Long Xiaotian's words and was frightened all over, saying. Yesterday, Lao San broke the limits of the human body with the help of mutated wild boar meat and became an extraordinary existence. Long Xiaotian instructed Lu Eru, go and ask him to leave the mountain. Tell him to bring back Gao Junchen's son. Additionally, Gao Junchen has not fully repaid the high-interest loan he borrowed. Take a group of brothers over and depose Gao Junchen's parents. Do Gao Junchen think that if he dies, he will be fine? Do you really think Long Xiaotian's high-interest loans are so easy to borrow? Yes, Brother Long. Lu Eru heard Long Xiaotian's words and his face showed ecstasy. He originally just wanted to teach Gao Wanger a lesson, but he didn't expect his elder brother to take over Gao Wanger's whole family in one go. This is really an unexpected joy. Hee, dare you hit me? Lu Eru's figure flashed through his mind, and he sneered inwardly, I don't know if I'm someone you can't afford to provoke. Come here and have some more mutated pollen. On the mutated peach tree, Gao Junchen commanded the queen bee. The queen bee's constitution is indeed different, surprisingly, she woke up so quickly and even became a mutated queen bee. After the mutated queen bee woke up, she immediately found the mutated peach tree and expressed her desire to build a nest on it. Gao Junchen agreed. After all, he is now a magical peach tree, and mutated pollen has the magical power to enable human evolution. If this were to be known to humans, wouldn't he have to be dug up? After the mutated queen bee builds a nest on the mutated peach tree, the mutated bee colony under the mutated queen bee becomes the guardian of the mutated peach tree. With the help of mutated pollen from mutated peach trees, Gao Junchen has confidence in expanding the population of mutated bees in the queen bee by 10 times. As for the strength of mutated bees, it will continue to improve with the evolution of mutated peach trees. Seeking a collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. Martial Arts Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Martial Arts Talent Huangmao Town. Royal Public School. Huang Lao, why are you here? The principal of the Royal Public School saluted an old man. This old man is the first person in Huangmao Town. He personally came to the Royal Public School today. This is a big event. Principal Zhou, these are soldiers from the Special Operations Department by my side. Huang Lao said to Principal Zhou, the spiritual energy of the Earth Star is reviving, and people from the Heavenly Palace in the other world are eyeing us. Huang Lao extended his finger and pointed to the palace in the sky. Although the people from the Heavenly Palace in the other world have not yet appeared on Earth, they may appear at any time. The country is prepared for danger in times of peace, and the Special Operations Department has begun to prepare countermeasures. This time, the Special Operations Department plans to focus on cultivating outstanding students with martial arts talents among tens of millions of students nationwide. Today, soldiers from the Special Operations Department came to school to test their martial arts talents. You need to cooperate with all your might, do you hear me? Yes, Mr. Huang, Principal Zhou said respectfully. People from the Heavenly Palace in another world may invade Earth Star at any time, and it is not surprising that the Special Operations Department has such a big move. I only hope that by the time the people from the Heavenly Palace invade the Earth Star, our country will already have the strongest martial arts. Principal Zhou sighed inwardly. He understands very well in his heart. Earth Star has just regained its spiritual energy. It's too difficult to appear as a martial arts powerhouse in a short period of time. Practicing martial arts is not like creating robots, it can be achieved overnight. Changing from weak to strong requires a process. I hope everything comes in time. Principal Zhou thought to himself. Although he is only the principal of a public school, however, he also has a patriotic heart. A few special operations officers, please come here. I will immediately convene the school's senior management to launch the school's faculty and student conference. Principal Zhou respectfully said to several soldiers from the Special Operations Department. These soldiers from the Special Operations Unit are exceptionally powerful. They stood there, exuding an aura that was like a deep sea. Principal Zhou knows that the reason why these Special Forces soldiers have become so powerful is due to the revival of spiritual energy. However, being able to break the limits of the human body just as the spiritual energy recovers is enough to demonstrate that the warriors in the Special Operations Department have strong martial arts talents. Royal Public School. Gao Wanger, Gao Yimo, and Tongshen had just entered the school when they saw all the teachers and students walking towards the back playground. Xiaowi, what are you running for? Gao Wanger stopped a short boy and asked. Gao Wanger. Tongshen. The short boy saw Gao Wanger and Tongshen and explained, there's no class today. School notice. Soldiers from the Special Operations Department are coming to our school to select students with martial arts talents. Now, the senior management of the school are all on the playground behind the school. Let's go together. Okay. Gao Wanger and Tongshen heard the words of their classmates and walked towards the school playground with Gao Yimo. The playground behind the Royal Public School is now filled with teachers and students. Yimo, the students from your elementary school department are queuing up on the left side of the playground. Go over quickly. Gao Wanger said to Gao Yimo. Okay, brother. Then I'll go over first, Gao Yimo agreed and turned around to leave. Gao Wanger saw his sister enter the primary school team, and he also followed Tongshen and others into the junior high school team. The school has notified that the testing of martial arts talents among all teachers and students will be completed within 1 day. Thousands of students in the Royal Public School need to be tested within a day, and the time is tight and the task is heavy. As soon as Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo arrived at the playground, the Royal Public School began testing their martial arts talents. In the center of the rear playground are several newly developed martial arts equipment from the country, and several soldiers from the Special Operations Department stand next to these latest martial arts equipment. Dear students, these latest martial arts equipment can accurately detect your body's strength, speed, and physique. A one-star fighter stood on a high platform built in the center of the rear playground, facing all the teachers and students of the school, and said, whoever among you has the strength, speed, and physique to meet the standards has the opportunity to join the National Special Operations Department and become a trainee soldier of the Special Operations Department. Students who become apprentice warriors will immediately receive $1 million cash reward from the National Special Operations Department. Of course, you should know that you are still underage. The reason why you have the opportunity to join the National Special Operations Department and become a trainee warrior is because with the revival of Earth Star's spiritual energy, the country needs talents with martial arts talents. The country needs you to protect it. Classmates, do you understand? I understand. The whole school shouted together, giving people a feeling of boiling blood. Now, both the primary and junior high school departments are conducting tests on martial arts talents, said the one-star fighter from the Special Operations Department standing on the high platform. Subsequently, school teachers cooperated with the soldiers of the Special Operations Department, arranged students to enter the center of the playground in an orderly manner for testing their martial arts talents. Zhang Hu, 6th grade in elementary school. With a punch of 600 pounds and a speed of 5 seconds per 100 meters, he began to awaken his extraordinary physique. Junior martial arts talent, almost breaking the limits of the human body. Passing. Special move to enter the Special Operations Department, reward cash of 1 million yuan. How could it be? Within the primary school premises, the teachers and classmates of the Royal Public School were stunned by this 6th grade student. With a fist power of 600 pounds and a speed of 5 seconds per 100 meters, isn't this superhero? The teachers and students in the primary department of the Royal Public School looked at the student named Zhang Hu with complex eyes. This is a poor student, dressed very plainly. However, when he was specially recruited into the Special Operations Department, he had already transformed into a millionaire. The teachers and students who were detected to have no martial arts talent looked at Zhang Hu with envious eyes. The testing of students' martial arts talents continues. Gao Yimo, 3rd grade in elementary school. With a fist power of 1,000 pounds and a speed of 100 meters in 3 seconds, he fully awakened his extraordinary physique. Advanced martial arts talent has already broken the limits of the human body. Excellent. Special move to enter the Special Operations Department, reward cash of 1 million yuan. How could it be? How could this be possible? The teachers and students of the Royal Public School exclaimed in their hearts that Gao Yimo's data was not human. A 3rd grade elementary school student, with one punch, surprisingly achieved a terrifying 1,000 pounds. Is this still human? At a speed of 3 seconds per 100 meters, the sprint champions before the revival of spiritual energy are not as fast, are they? At this moment, Gao Yimo stood on the high platform, attracting widespread attention. Gao Yimo couldn't even imagine that his power was so great. Is this really the power of one's own punch? How terrifying! Gao Yimo, don't be nervous. You are excellent, your martial arts talent is very strong. On the high platform, Chu Xiu, a 1-star fighter from the Special Operations Department, looked at Gao Yimo with green eyes and comforted her. He didn't expect to find a student with advanced martial arts talent in this small town. This is really an unexpected joy. You should know that a student with advanced martial arts talents is a quasi-1-star warrior. Students with advanced martial arts talents, as long as they don't die, will eventually break through to the level of 1-star warrior. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Strongest Dark Horse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Strongest Dark Horse. The more 1-star warrior Chu Xiu looked at Gao Yimo, the more satisfied he became. Young age, high talent. This is a natural seed for practicing martial arts. Gao Yimo, are you willing to worship me as your teacher? 1-star warrior Chu Xiu asked Gao Yimo softly. After the spiritual energy recovers, the Earth Star Master becomes accustomed to accepting martial arts talents as disciples. Chu Xiu is a newly appointed 1-star warrior who has no apprenticeship yet. At this moment, seeing Gao Yimo, he was moved. I am willing. The sweet voice of Gao Yimo reached Chu Xiu's ears, and his heart was about to melt. Great! From today on, you will be the eldest disciple of my Chu Xiu general. Chu Xiu said with a pair of deep eyes staring at Gao Yimo. Okay, master. Gao Yimo said obediently. In her opinion, a master is just like a teacher. Well, you go down first. Chu Xiu nodded satisfactorily to Gao Yimo. He also needs to host a martial arts talent testing activity and is unwilling to talk to Gao Yimo much. Upon hearing Chu Xiu's words, Gao Yimo obediently turned around and left. Under the high platform, some teachers and students heard Chu Xiu's words and looked at Gao Yimo with envious eyes. In their eyes, a 1-star warrior is a powerful figure, and it's really lucky to be accepted as an apprentice by a 1-star warrior. In the queue of the junior high school department. Gao Wanger, it seems that your sister has become a disciple of a big shot. Tongshen excitedly said to Gao Wanger, I didn't expect your sister to be so powerful that she has already broken the limits of her body. One punch can weigh 1,000 pounds, with a speed of 3 seconds per 100 meters. It's really amazing. Suddenly, Tongshen seemed to have remembered something. He looked at Gao Wanger with strange eyes, and his saliva almost flowed out. What are you doing? Gao Wanger saw Tongshen's strange gaze and shuddered nervously, saying, Tongshen, we are brothers. You can't crave my body. Get lost. Tongshen rolled his eyes when he heard Gao Wanger's words and said helplessly, Gao Wanger, what are you thinking? Can your brain circuits not be so bizarre? Do you have it? Gao Wanger spread out his hand and asked. At this moment, the teacher's cry came into Gao Wanger's ear. Next, Gao Wanger from class 1 of grade 3. Tongshen, it's my turn. Gao Wanger confidently said, brother, look at my performance. Go ahead. Don't lose face. Tongshen smiled at Gao Wanger. Brother, just wait for shock. Ha ha ha. Gao Wanger confidently turned around and entered the arena. Tongshen looked at Gao Wanger's graceful figure with both eyes and murmured, brother, good luck to you. He already knew that Gao Wanger was extraordinary. Is it something that an average person can do to fly a strong man with just one punch? As expected, shortly after Gao Wanger entered the field, a burst of screams erupted ahead. Gao Wanger, a junior high school student. With a fist power of 2,000 pounds and a speed of 100 meters in 2 seconds, he fully awakens his extraordinary physique. Top martial arts talent, has already broken the limits of the human body twice. Intermediate extraordinary warrior strength, very excellent. Special move to enter the Special Operations Department, awarded the rank of Intermediate Extraordinary Warrior, with a reward of 5 million yuan in cash. How could it be? How could this be possible? On the back playground of Huangmao Public School, all teachers and students couldn't conceal their inner shock upon hearing Gao Wanger's data. Surprisingly, Gao Wanger was awarded the rank of an extraordinary warrior on the spot while testing her martial arts talent. Top martial arts talent, breaking the limits of the human body twice. Intermediate extraordinary warrior strength, reward cash of 5 million yuan. Tongshen is even more shocked. He guessed that Gao Wanger was very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong. Is this still human? This is a dark horse. One-star warrior Chu Xiu stood on the high platform, his eyes shining as he looked at Gao Wanger. The revival of Earth Star's spiritual energy took less than a month, and this young man has awakened his top martial arts talent. What a genius! Chu Xiu's heart was pounding, and he thought to himself, I must tell the Jiangnan Tiger Handsome Lord about this matter. Jiangnan Tiger Marshal is stationed in Jiangnan Province and has never encountered a suitable disciple. Isn't this young man with top-notch martial arts talents the most suitable disciple for Jiangnan Tiger Handsome? Let's play a game. The first book friend who left a comment in the comment section has achieved their dream in 2020, end of this chapter. Chapter 10. Giant Evolution Points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Giant Evolution Points. The martial arts talent test ended at noon. In the end, only 3 students from the entire Huangmao Public School were specially recruited to join the extraordinary team. These 3 people are Zhang Hu, Gao Yimo, and Gao Wanger. Gao Yimo and Gao Wanger, there is a home visit this afternoon. You should go back and prepare for it, said Chu Xiu, a star warrior, smiling at Gao Yimo and Gao Wanger. Home visits. Gao Yimo and Gao Wanger looked at each other when they heard Chu Xiu's words. Master, should we go back now? Don't my brother and I have classes this afternoon? Gao Yimo asked Chu Xiu. Starting from today, you no longer have to attend classes at the Royal Public School, Chu Xiu explained. You have broken the limits of your body. As a member of the extraordinary team, you will have dedicated personnel to teach school knowledge in the future. You don't have to study with ordinary people anymore. Tuer, how are you? Are you surprised? No surprise. Gao Yimo shook his head and said, Master, I enjoy going to school and studying. I won't be happy if you don't let me read. Upon hearing Gao Yimo's words, Chu Xiu's smile disappeared from his face. Yimo, the spiritual energy of the Earth Star is recovering, and our country needs our protection. Chu Xiu patiently said to Gao Yimo, you will know in the future. The stronger your strength, the heavier the responsibility on your shoulders. Upon hearing Chu Xiu's words, Gao Yimo still had an innocent expression on his face. She is just a third-grade child. Although Gao Yimo couldn't understand Chu Xiu's words, Gao Wanger, who was in the third year of junior high school, understood them. In his third year of junior high school, he has grown up after his father's funeral. "General, do you need us to lead the way for this afternoon's home visit?" Gao Wanger asked the one-star General Chu Xiu. He has learned from his teacher about the identity of Chu Xiu as a star warrior general. "No need." Chu Xiu looked at Gao Wanger with both eyes and smiled, saying, "In the afternoon, we will have the school teachers lead the way. After you go back, have a good reunion with your family. After the home visit, I may take you away. By the way, you joined the extraordinary team and received a total prize of 6 million. In the afternoon, I will hand over 6 million yuan in prize money to your guardian." Upon hearing Chu Xiu's words, Gao Yimo and Gao Wanger both showed a happy expression on their faces. 6 million yuan bonus, this is really a huge number. You know, their father was forced to death by a $1 million high-interest loan. "General, then my sister and I will go home first." Gao Wanger looked up and said to Chu Xiu. He couldn't wait to go home and told his dad the good news. "Go." Chu Xiu waved his hand. Gao Wanger heard Chu Xiu's words and took Gao Yimo's hand, turning around and leaving. "Shadow 1, Shadow 2, you secretly protect these two people." Chu Xiu ordered the shadow guard behind him as he looked at the back of Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo as they left. "Yes, General." Two shadow guards hiding in the dark heard Chu Xiu's command and appeared and said, "Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo are already members of the extraordinary team and do not need to attend classes in the afternoon. However, other ordinary students still have to continue their classes." When Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo left Huangmao Public School, all the teachers and students watched as they left, their eyes filled with envy and jealousy. Gao Yimo and Gao Wanger were so lucky that they were specially recruited to join the extraordinary team. Yeah. The family and two siblings have awakened their extraordinary bloodline, so lucky. Million cash reward, two ugly ducklings turned into white swans. Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo walked out of the school gate, unaware that their classmates were discussing behind their backs. Third brother, Gao Junchen's son and daughter have come out. Two sentry boys ran into the smoke hotel at the intersection and respectfully said to a strong man who was painting dragons and tigers. The strong man heard the words of the two sentry boys and his tiger body trembled, immediately walking out of the tobacco hotel. After leaving the tobacco hotel, he saw Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo walking into a small path from a distance, heading towards the direction of Juntan village. "Follow up." The strong man waved his hand and immediately chased towards Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo with a dozen or so subordinates. Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo were actually tracked by a group of thugs, a shadow guard exclaimed in surprise. At this moment, two shadow guards wearing dark camouflage uniforms appeared at the entrance of the smoke hotel. "Hee hee. It's just a group of thugs, not a match for Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo at all," said another shadow guard disdainfully. "Don't be careless. I see that the leader of these little thugs seems to have broken the limits of their human body," said the first shadow guard. "Then let's follow up quickly." Another shadow guard responded when he heard the first shadow guard's words. Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo are deeply loved by the one-star warrior Chu Xiu. They don't want to hurt Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo because of their mistakes. In the field. On a winding path, Gao Wanger suddenly stopped in his tracks. "Brother, what's wrong?" Gao Yimo saw Gao Wanger stop and asked in confusion. "Sister, we're being followed." Gao Wanger looked at the dozen or so thugs behind her and calmly said to Gao Yimo. Gao Yimo heard Gao Wanger's words and turned around at the speed of light. A pair of starry eyes looked at the dozen or so little thugs at the end of the path. Discovered. The strong man with dragons and tigers on his body walked in front of a dozen or so small thugs. When he saw Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo turning around, he immediately knew that he and others had been exposed. Up. He waved his hand and immediately rushed over with a dozen or so thugs. Gulu Gao Yimo felt nervous when he saw the strong man charging towards him with a dozen or so small thugs. "Sister, don't be afraid. It's just a group of little brats." Gao Wanger clenched Gao Yimo's small hand and comforted her. After realizing that he had broken the limits of the human body, Gao Wanger's mentality changed. At this moment, when he saw a group of tall and powerful thugs rushing towards him, he felt a sense of stability in his heart. "Ha ha ha, not bad. You have courage." Ah San rushed to the side of Gao Wanger and Gao Yimo with a dozen strong men, immediately surrounding them. "What do you want to do?" Gao Wanger looked at Ah San with both eyes and asked. The extraordinary strength of Ah San's advanced body makes him feel threatened. "What are you doing?" "Of course I'm here to catch you." Ah San extended his tongue and licked his lips, saying fiercely. Upon hearing Ah San's words, Gao Wanger's eyes burst out with two dazzling cold rays. "Can you tell me why you want to catch us?" Gao Wanger asked Ah San indifferently. "Why? Of course it's your dad who owes a high-interest loan, and Long Gu wants to use your lives to pay for it." "Ha ha ha." Ah San laughed and said. Buzzing, in the high sky, a buzzing sound of bees rang out. At this point, 20 mutated bees have arrived at the top of the heads of Ah San and others. "Since it's a high-interest loan owed by my dad, let him handle it." Gao Wanger looked up at the mutated bees above Ah San and others' heads and said calmly. "Your father is already dead. You're asking a dead person to solve the problem, aren't you crazy?" Ah San said disdainfully to Gao Wanger. Buzzing, the mutated bee fell from a high altitude and its loud roar came into the ears of Ah San and others. Ah San and a dozen tall and burly thugs around him looked up together, and they immediately saw a mutated bee twice the size of a wasp. "What is this thing?" Ah San exclaimed in surprise. "Shio shio shio, shio shio shio, shio shio shio." 20 mutated bees attacked Ah San and others at an extremely fast speed. Dozens of sparkling tail needles pierced through the sky and pierced into the necks of Ah San and others. "What is it?" "Ah. It hurts. You killed a slightly evolved human, evolution point +2. You killed a slightly evolved human, evolution point +3. You killed a human who has advanced to level 3 evolution, with an evolution point of +15. You." On Gao Junchen's system panel, information kept flashing by. "Does the mutated bee also count as mine?" Gao Junchen thought to himself. Gao Junchen felt that it was probably related to him commanding the bees to kill. So it seems that mutated bee colonies, in addition to guarding mutated peach trees, can also help them obtain evolutionary points. End of this chapter.